Hello everybody and welcome to the Chrissy B Show. Today we're going to focus on the mental pressures on people, especially youngsters, to have sex rather than wait until they're in a committed relationship or get married. And here are some of the tweets from you guys at home regarding this subject. Belle says, the fact that sex is so casual nowadays is disgusting. And we have another opinion from Zephaniah who says, how do you know if you're compatible romantically and sexually in bed? Jamie Patterson says, sex actually means something to me, that's why I haven't done it yet. And T-Baby says, I'd rather know what I'm working with before marriage and not wait so long to possibly not be satisfied. And we also have someone called Christian Gent who says, to my future wife, I've waited many years for you and I plan on continuing to wait until we are married. So lots of different opinions there. So we have a special guest tonight who's called Michelle Joseph, and she'll talk openly about her experience with this, and we'll find out what side of the debate she belongs to later on. We'll also be speaking to our love expert, James and Helena Marques, to tell us what they think and know of this particular subject. And in a bit, you'll see our Chrissy B Show reporter, Leanna Lambert, ask the general public what they think when it comes to sex before marriage. Plus, I'll be giving my own advice on how to be you, not care what others think, and not give in to peer pressure, which I think is the most important thing. But first, it's the news with Jenny Cortez Ibanez. Welcome, Jenny, to the show. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me back. It's great to be back on the show.
It's lovely having you.
Thank you.
So we've got some news, haven't you, about this interesting subject?
Yes. Another very great subject to have on the show, because I think this type of show, Sex Before Marriage, it's talked about it in the media, but not so much and not in enough detail. So it's great that we get to do it here on the Chrissy B Show. So having done some of my reading, some very fascinating facts that came out of it, and some not so surprising news. So let me start with that. So millennials, so those born in the 80s and 90s, and those from this generation are more accepting and more tolerant in regards to having premarital sex compared to those of the older generation. So that's not very surprising. You'd think that, wouldn't you? Yeah. But the fascinating thing that came out of one of my studies that I read was that the millennials and the generation of today have fewer sleeping partners compared to our parents. And even more our grandparents. That's crazy, isn't it? Yeah. So, okay, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to split those two things and go into it in more detail. So, over the last 8 years, acceptance of premarital sex has moved from a minority position to a majority position, and 58%.
Unless people just weren't admitting to it before.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, or just don't talk about it enough. They used to be very shy, embarrassed, or just feel a little awkward talking about it. I think some people still are a bit, they don't talk about it.
We're just very open on this program.
Yeah, we just like to talk about everything here, which is great. And 58% of respondents in 2012 said that they thought that there was nothing wrong with having sex, compared to 44% in 2004. That's before marriage, I mean. And this is according to a study which 33,000 people took part in, and it was published in the Archives of Sexual Behaviour, so you can check that out yourselves at home. So over the 35 years that they said that acceptance has gradually increased, and that's 28% thought premarital sex was okay in 1972, then 38% in 1978, then 41% in 1982. So you can see the gradual increase there. So the other point I made earlier was about millennials and the young people having fewer partners than our parents and our grandparents, which I found very weird and crazy. But they said boomers and early Gen Xers born in the 50s and 60s had the most sex of all, an average of 11 sexual partners as adults, followed by those who were born in 40s and in the 90s and 70s, and they averaged at about 10 partners. And millennials, those again born in the 80s and 90s, only had about an average of 8 sexual partners. So does that...
It's not a huge difference though, is it? I thought it was going to be like a
massive... No, it's not. But another study that I came across was something that author Jean Twenge wrote about in her Generation Me book. And she also says so how millennials are more accepting and more tolerable on premarital sex, but that hasn't given them the license, seemed to have given them the license to kind of sleep around more. And you'd think that because they're more open about it, but it certainly is not the case. And she goes on to note that it's probably related to the fact that the millennials and those of this generation are more knowledgeable, educated, and probably are more aware of the consequences of having sex, such as, what could happen. So, the illnesses that you could get from sex, such as HIV and STDs. So they are more safety conscious compared to those of the older generations. So that's what she goes on to say. And Twenge also mentioned that the change of acceptance seems to be over generations rather than over time, which basically means that those in the older generation probably haven't changed the way, their attitude towards having, it's wrong to have sex before marriage. It probably hasn't changed their minds about it. But what has happened is that those from our generation have replaced the attitude towards it. So that I found that very, very, very cool to know about.
There's a lot to do with the media and music videos and things like that.
Exactly.
Because it's what the casual sex seems to be, from what I hear and from, things that you see on TV and stuff, it seems to be much more common.
Yeah.
And everyone's pressured to have sex before, they're in a proper relationship.
Yeah, which is kind of sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
So moving on to celebrities who waited or are waiting until marriage. And when I went through this list, I was, for some of them, gobsmacked. You think these massive superstars, these huge Hollywood icons, these superstar sports people, even they have become very open to the public and to the media. Which I think it's great. It's great. It's very
just nice to have a different take
inspiring.
on things sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's nothing wrong with being open about the fact that you want to wait or you don't want to wait. So Donny Osmond. Our national Donny Osmond, raised Mormon. So Donny Osmond remained celibate until he got married at the age of 20. Jessica Simpson, so she's this huge type, businesswoman, singer, actress, and she remained virgin until for her first marriage to singer Nick Lachey, who's formerly from a boy band, in 2002. And if I'm not mistaken, she was about 22 years old. Next up, we have Mariah Carey. So this diva,
really?
This is according to the studies. It might be, it might, but this is, I'm just reading off it, but yeah. So
apparently,
yes. According to this website that I found, Mariah Carey mentioned that she and former husband Nick Cannon waited until they tied the knot, but they married 2 months after dating.
Okay.
So
so
they didn't wait very long. But yeah, they waited. Here's a very shocking one for me, was Victoria's Secret model Adriana Lima. She lost her virginity to her husband Marco Jarek at, guess what age?
No idea.
27.
Okay.
Yeah, so thumbs up for her. She actually looks like 19 still, to be honest, but it's crazy. But she was very open about it, and she was quoted at one point saying, they have to respect this is my choice, and if there's no respect, that means they don't want me. And I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Yeah. NFL football player Tim Tebow isn't married, but he still holds his V card with pride. And he's 28 years old today. And what was really, really nice to see when I was going and putting this list together was stereotypically you think people who wait for marriage, wait to have sex before marriage are typically women, but no, men are just as well. And so there's a couple of those in my list. But continuing on, Julianne Hough, so she's a dancer, recently got got engaged, I think, so congratulations to her. So she explained her decision to wait until marriage by saying, I want to be with that special person, and I think the choice to have sex before marriage is an individual one. But if you're just with one person, it's only good for that one good reason. And waiting to have sex will strengthen that relationship. I'm not trying to preach consequences here, but I think when you say no down the line, it will be a better decision. Yes.
We've got about a minute left. Any other interesting?
A couple more. Kevin Jonas of the Jonas Brothers, the older one, married in 2007, and he was 20 years old. Tamara Mowry Housley of Tea and Tamara. Some people at home may know from the 90s show. So also she waited till she was married. Celine Dion. Celine Dion, the singer, the huge superstar, waited until she was married, but she didn't wait till marriage rather, but she did wait until she met her husband, Renee Angelil.
Oh, right, okay.
Yes,
So.
yeah. And others as well are Carrie.
That one shouldn't really be on that list then.
Sorry?
That one shouldn't really be on
I
that list.
know, that was a cheeky one, and I put herself
She's trying it, yeah, but she didn't wait till she was married. Come on,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. The point there was, I guess,
She married her first
time.
Yeah.
Exactly. So if you count that.
Okay.
But also Carrie Underwood, the singer, and we also have Jordan Sparks. They've are waiting or waited.
Okay,
as well.
so the celebs, you know, they didn't feel that pressure to have sex straight away, which was good.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, that's the important. Well, I will be speaking about this later on, so I'll save it for later on. And also we will have our love experts on soon to give their take on it. Thank you so much, Jenny.
Thank you.
Thank you. So after the break, I'll be speaking to Michelle Joseph, who will talk openly about her experience with today's topic, pressure to have sex. So don't go away. Hi, I'm Chrissy B, and my show is all about improving your mental health and being happy. Join me every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 10 p.m. on my channel Sky 203. Visit chrissybshow.tv for more information and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Chrissy B Show. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Chrissy B Show and on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show. If you've just joined us, tonight we're discussing the pressure by society to have sex as soon as possible. And here's something on the NHS website about not giving in to peer pressure to have sex. Now, if they're given they give a list of scenarios, and there are more on there if you want to take a look at it, but I've just picked a few. So if, for example, your friends are really pressurizing you to have sex, and they'll come up with certain things. So for example, if they say to you, you haven't had sex because no one fancies you, something that you can say back is, I haven't had sex because I'm not afraid of saying no, or I'm waiting for the right person. Another scenario, if they say to you, you'll get dumped if you don't do it soon, you can say, we like each other for more than just sex. And we have one more. If they say to you, you'll get a reputation for being frigid, you say, waiting for the right person makes me smart, not frigid. Okay, so there's a few ideas if maybe you are being pressured to have sex by your friends and you're not ready for it. So earlier this week, I met with Michelle Joseph, who shared her story. Let's take a look at this. Hello, Michelle. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, you're welcome.
So, Michelle, you recently got married. So you've been married for 10 months now.
Yes.
And the unique thing about you was that you decided to wait till you got married before you had sex.
Yeah,
Can you tell us why that was?
Well, personally, it was partly due to my beliefs, but I didn't necessarily want to get into a relationship with someone that had already slept with other people, because it had a lot to do with my beliefs, but it was something that a decision that I made myself. I had friends that, you know, had slept with other people and things, and there was always the curiosity, but I just didn't want to go there. I knew that I wanted my first partner, my first boyfriend, my first husband. I had an old school mentality, but I knew that was what I wanted. When I got married, I wanted to have sex for the first time, and I wanted it also to be with someone who had had sex for the first time.
So your husband was also a virgin when you got married.
Was.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, how much of an influence of your parents in this? Was it something that they brought you up to believe, or something that a belief that came later on? How was that?
Yeah, they were for that mentality as well. So they had some part in it, but I know that it was still mainly down to me, because your parents can think one way, but you don't necessarily have to, you know, believe what they believe or think how they think. So even though they did have some part in that, in those beliefs, but I still kept that for myself.
Okay. Now, it must have been really hard sort of at college and uni and stuff like that for most youngsters, I think, because to be honest, that's all some people talk about.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And I remember myself as well at uni and college, everyone was talking about having sex, and you know, it was like if you hadn't had sex, you're really weird. So how did you deal with the pressure from people? And were you pressured?
I wasn't necessarily pressured, but you don't necessarily have to be pressured from other people. I think sometimes we put that pressure on ourselves, and my friends did talk about it. I even remember one conversation that my friends had at uni, and they were discussing everything. And it was, even though I didn't say anything.
Did they know you were a virgin?
Yeah, they did. But even though they didn't say anything, I still felt, oh my gosh, you know, I don't want to be the only one. It's weird being the only one, or everybody's done it. What's it like? It was difficult. And you find yourself not wanting to get into conversations with people about it. And it's just one of those things that you'd rather avoid speaking about. You don't want it to come up because you know that you've made a decision, but not everybody is going to agree with it.
How did your friends treat you though when they?
Thankfully, they didn't treat me any different, even though some of them had slept with other people before, but they didn't treat me differently. And I know that some people, they do have it hard, like they get made fun of and it's a big deal, but thankfully I was okay going through uni and school and things. So.
But what about boyfriends? Didn't guys approach you?
Yeah, they did, and I actually had pressure from like boyfriends.
So you had boyfriends?
Yeah, I had boyfriends, but they weren't really serious because I still knew what I wanted. So even though I had boyfriends, I did feel the pressure there more than with friends at school and, you know, at university. And there were times where I almost gave in, but then I would always pull back. I would always, you know, say, no, I don't want to do this.
That must have taken a tremendous amount of self-control.
It did. It really did. And every time I got myself into those situations and then I stopped, I would just feel so, like, what was the point? It's better not to get in. If that's how you think, and you don't want to contradict yourself, it's not to play even with their emotions and mine if I know how I feel about it. Yeah. So I think, being in those situations, having boyfriends, I did feel pressured too. So it came to a point where I just said, okay, I'm just gonna wait.
Okay. Now, you met your husband.
Yeah.
How was that? When did that happen?
It happened around I'm not really good with the dates and everything. It happened around 2 years because we were talking for a long while. So I wanted to be sure that our relationship was going to go further, you know, before even making anything serious of it. So we were talking for a really long time, got to know him, got to know what he was like.
Guys, are you hearing this? They talked. They got to know one another. They didn't jump into bed. They talked, which is really, I think is missing from a lot of relationships nowadays.
Yeah, I think
the initial talking before anything else.
It did, because then I got to know what kind of person he was, his likes, his interests, and how we got along with each other as well, until we realised, oh, this is actually serious and we do like each other and we want it to go further.
So he proposed?
Yeah.
And so were you quite open about, like, look, are you a virgin?
Yeah,
I want to marry a virgin.
We talked
What
about
if he wasn't, though?
I don't think, even though if he hadn't been, I still liked him. I don't think it would have mattered then, because what mattered most to me were his values.
Okay.
And the way that he thought, how serious he was about himself, his future, me being in his future. And I think that's really important. So that even if he hadn't been a virgin, then it wouldn't have mattered, because I would have known what kind of person he was.
Now, how did you both manage to keep your hands off each other?
That was I'd admit it was hard, but because we kind of had like a long distance relationship, not that long distance. I was only in Luton and he was in London, but it did help because we didn't see each other all the time. We weren't around each other as often as a couple usually are, so that helped in some way.
Now, okay, so I'm not going to ask you about the wedding night already, but are you glad you waited?
Yeah, I am, because I feel like we both went into it together not knowing, so it would be different if one person knows.
Had you done some research at least, or anything? Was it just discovery on the night?
Yeah, it was kind of like discovery, and it was nice. It was nice. Both being in the same situation, you know, both not being experienced and both learning together in a way. So yeah, it was nice.
See, some people, this is a point they say, well, you know what, we need to kind of say, even a couple that's really serious about each other and are planning to get married, but they say, oh no, we should have sex already to make sure that things are working in that department. And they kind of think that as if it won't, kind of thing. What would you say to that?
To be honest, I don't understand that. Because I guess, doesn't it work for everyone? No, those are my honest views. I think that whether or not you're going to get married anyway, I don't see the harm in waiting. But personally, because
do you feel like you've missed out on anything though, like not having sex with other guys before?
No, I really don't. I don't feel like I've missed out because I would want to stay true to my partner. So yeah. I don't feel.
And I suppose you don't have all that baggage that maybe other people do, the emotional baggage as well.
Yeah, like the heartache that some people have. That's also another thing. I didn't want to have slept with someone and know it won't go any further or carry that pain, because you know women are quite emotional and things, so they become attached even more than men would. So I didn't want to have that baggage if it didn't work out for one person and I'd slept with them already and then I moved on to somebody else. So I'm glad that even though it's just me and my partner, if we've had arguments or anything like that, it's not like I'm going to walk out the door, you know, and so everything has come as a package.
Okay. Now, interesting, you said your husband was a virgin as well. How did he manage to control himself? Because for a girl, it's kind of, you kind of think, girls can wait and stuff like that. But for a guy, it's like, especially with society, if you're a guy and you haven't had sex by the time you're 16, it's like crazy.
I think
for society. So how did he?
He had it even. I think the temptation for him was even more than me, because the way that he used to be, girls would always be around him and things like that. But he had the same kind of values that I have as well, even though before we weren't necessarily, we were still trying to find ourselves, like stick to our values in a way, so be firm in what we believed in. But I think he always had that at the back of his mind, just the same way that I did. So it was something that would be there and would always remember, okay, this is what I want. You know, this is the decision that I've made.
What would you say to any young girls watching now, Michelle, that maybe they're not ready for sex, but it's like their friends are pressurising them and they feel like they should just because everyone else is? What would you say? I
would say that they have to stay true to themselves, because at the end of the day, society around and friends and everything are pressuring you, but you are the person, you're going to get yourself into that situation. How would you feel? Will you feel good about yourself afterwards, or will you not? It depends on how you would feel. But if you feel pressured and it's something that you don't want to do, then don't do it, because at the end of the day, you haven't lost anything. There's nothing to lose. So.
Okay, Michelle, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And, you know, happy anniversary, because it's almost a year.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So thanks very much to Michelle for sharing her story. Well, don't go away, because after the break, love duo James and Helena Marques will be joining us to explore more of this subject. Plus, later on, I'll be giving you my own tips on how to be yourself, not to care what others think of you, and not give in to peer pressure or even pressure from a partner. So I'll see you in a second. Hi, I'm Chrissy B, and my show is all about improving your mental health and being happy. Join me every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 10 p.m. on my channel Sky 203. Visit chrissybshow.tv for more information and subscribe to our YouTube channel Chrissy B Show. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Chrissy B Show, and on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. here at the Chrissy B Show. We're discussing the topic pressured to have sex. And before we meet our next guest, let's check out what the people of London think of this subject.
Hi Chrissy, it's Leanna here. So as you can see, we are in the busy streets of central London today. And what we're asking people is if they believe waiting to have sex before marriage mentally affects a relationship. Let's see what the people have to say. So do you believe in sex before marriage?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I think so.
And why?
Oh, why? That's a tough one. I think you should always be able to test drive before you commit to the purchase.
No, I don't. I think that it's a loss of time if you are waiting until you are married to have sex, because maybe you don't like what you were waiting. So that's my point of view.
I do, yeah.
And why is that?
I don't know, well, it's part of getting to know someone, I suppose. It's not, you can't just get with someone and know that you're going to be compatible in the bed. I suppose, yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, that's the same. Yeah, I think that it's part of the full relationship. You've got to, in this day and age, know the full relationship before you commit 100%. That's marriage.
Do you think that waiting puts a strain on a relationship?
I think sex is something that you should be. I don't know how to say it. I think it's an important part of a relationship, and you can't have a relationship without it. I think it's a foundation part.
I don't think so. I don't mind waiting a certain amount of time, but not too long, yeah.
I think that it makes it a bigger deal. Maybe the anticipation and disappointment, maybe, I don't know.
I respect people who do that, and I can understand because some religion or whatever. And I think that if I find a girl who do that, I will respect that, and I think I'll be able to marry her, because I prefer that instead of these girls who have sex with random girls, and that's my opinion.
And how do you think this mentally affects a relationship if the couple should wait?
It depends on their beliefs. I mean, some people, I have friends that they completely believe in no sex before marriage, and they're completely fine. But I think if you are a sexually oriented person, it can put extra strain on the relationship.
I think I don't know, maybe it's better for a long relationship, and it's something beautiful, but at the same time I think it's something really hard because nowadays, I don't know, people start these relations really early, but I think we are losing something good.
I'm not sure. I haven't waited, so I wouldn't know, to be honest, yeah.
I think they would probably develop non-physically until they were married, and then once married they've got something else to explore together, I guess.
So as you can see, we've had a few different perspectives on the subject of waiting to have sex before marriage. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today. Back to you, Chrissy, in the studio.
Thanks very much, Leanna. And now we're very lucky to have our love experts on the show with us tonight, James and Helena Marques from the show Love Talk. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Great. We haven't been in your show for a while.
I know. It's so good to have you back. I love having you guys on.
We just came to check on how things are going.
Oh, is it good? Yeah. I love having you guys on because, you know, you're very open about love life issues.
Sure.
And also, obviously, you do your weekly seminars
Yes.
where you get to speak to a lot of people about different kinds of subjects, and this one included. So what do you think of our topic today and why it's important to discuss it?
I was actually surprised that there was one person there on the street that said it's good to wait, and a man of all things.
Yeah.
So that was surprising. But I think, you know, it's a matter of you. A lot of people say, look, if you don't have sex before marriage, then you don't know if you're compatible and all these kind of things. But if you actually look at why people get divorced, it's very rare. It's really like finding a needle in a haystack. It's the same thing finding someone who says, look, I got divorced because we weren't compatible in bed. People get divorced because of money problems. People get divorced because of
Facebook,
because of, you know, many things.
That's very interesting.
And very rarely do people almost never do people say, oh, we weren't compatible in bed. If you love the person you're with, you respect them, and there's something special between both of you, then of course you're going to be compatible.
I found it really funny, the first one. Oh, it's like a test drive. My husband has a very nice thing with this test drive.
This test drive thing, I was doing this thing for a company once, trying to get a test drive of this very high-end car, and the company said, look, our cars, if you know our cars, you know you don't need a test drive. We don't do test drives. And I think when you know your value, it's sort of like that. You don't need to be test-driven. You are sure of who you are.
That's a nice analogy there.
Yeah, you should include that on that list that you read earlier on.
Well, I have actually, yeah, it's true. Well, I have got actually a couple of questions from our viewers for you both to know if you can help us to answer them. And this one's actually from a 17-year-old, and she basically saying that all my friends have done it already and they are pressuring me to do it with my boyfriend, and I'm beginning to think that I should. What should I do?
I think she should wait until she understands what sex means between two people. I'm not saying for her not to do it or to do it. That's her decision, exactly. But she needs to understand what that is, because if she doesn't, she will regret it later. She will wish she hadn't done it.
And you're not just going to do something because others have done it, right? I mean, look, Jenny here was talking about these famous people who decided to wait on marriage before they had sex. I waited. She waited. That didn't make me less of a man, right? And that didn't bring me any problems. So, you know, she shouldn't give in to peer pressure just because people are saying that others have done it.
Honeymoon was so much more interesting.
Okay, too much information out there.
It's true.
But you know, Elena, she doesn't.
Every time
she doesn't mince her words. So
it's one of the pros.
But that's Elena for you, and that's why our marriage is great.
Yeah, you love her just the way she is, don't you?
That's right.
You started it. We waited. Till right now.
Moving swiftly on to our next question. She says, oh, I don't know if it's a she or he actually. I think it's a she. Hi, I'm 24 years old and I'm in a relationship with a guy who is 31 years old.
Okay.
I'm happy with him. He treats me like a princess. But the problem is he wants physical intimacy, and I don't want it unless we are married. This topic is really becoming a headache for both of us, and I don't know what to do. Please help.
Well, I think the key thing is if this person treats her like a princess and she's that important as a princess. It's really hard to find a princess these days, right? But if you do find one, what do? You want to make that person yours exclusively. So marriage will be a natural progression, right? So if I think
you will wait.
The important thing is if he finds you so special, then get married.
And actually, this goes back to what the young gentleman on our street chat said, that if he was to meet a young woman that wanted to wait till they got married, that he would actually respect that. And I think that's really nice and quite rare.
That's not very, you don't hear that a lot these days. I mean, it's interesting to hear that from him. And
I was surprised, but I think what we're finding out with what Jenny said earlier and what he said is that there may be more people out there who have this view than what we actually think.
Yeah, and they just don't want to say it.
Yeah, because it's a bit frowned upon, like, oh, why don't you love the person? There's nothing wrong with you trying, but...
Yeah. Now, what if, I don't know if you come across couples at your seminars that have these kind of issues, or maybe there's some that want to wait till they're married, but they're kind of finding it difficult. What advice would you give to them?
Actually, it's very common. Anyone who starts dating, and even though they want to wait for the wedding night to have their first intimate experience with each other, of course, there are some ground rules you need to look at. The first thing is don't make things hard for you and go to a place where it's isolated and dark and it's
inviting him to his house and vice versa.
Exactly. Then it's like you're self-sabotaging the relationship, right? If you want to stay away from that until the wedding day. So what I always advise couples is to make sure you date in public, make sure that you're not going to be isolated in a place by yourself till late hours of the night. Don't go and spend the night and say, oh, we're just going to eat popcorn, because that's not going to happen, right? So just try to make things as easy for yourselves as possible.
And try to get to know each other, during the period of dating. Think about other things.
And how about the other side of the coin as well, maybe where someone's been extremely sexually active and now it's like they're kind of finding it difficult to be with someone because that person doesn't like the fact that they've had so many sexual partners. Some people don't care, but other
Some
people,
do.
it's like some get kind of, it's almost like they've got this label now because they've had some kind of reputation. What advice would you give someone like that maybe is finding it hard now, and even they feel bad about themselves?
Well, I think that the person, before they get too involved with someone, I mean, you're not going to approach someone on your first date and say, how many partners have you had before me? It's not something you ask people, but that's the thing. Don't just give yourself away like this. Wait. I mean, I chose to wait until marriage, but if the person can't wait, wait for as long as you can until it's comfortable for you to find out how many partners the person had, if it's really something that bothers you, and then if you're not happy, just be sincere.
If you do that, if you allow the person to take time to get to know who you really are and to really, really find you attractive for more than just the physical side, for your character, your personality as well, then I think it gets to a point that it doesn't really matter, your past and how many partners you had, because what matters is the point where that relationship begins.
Exactly. Well, guys, thank you so much
It's a pleasure.
for being on. It's been very interesting, and we'll see you again very soon. Thank you. All right, guys, so you can watch both James and Helena on Love Talk Live
every Saturday at 7 p.m.
7 p.m. Okay, that's great. And also you have your seminars, don't you?
Yes, the Love Talk Live.
Actually, the seminars are Saturday 7 p.m.
Oh, sorry.
The program is Saturday
at 3 p.m.
Right here on this channel. Right, so after the break, I'll be giving my advice on how to be yourself, not care what others think, and not give in to peer pressure. And also, actually, we'll be showing one of your videos. So I keep going back to them, even though I've said goodbye, but never mind. We're going to be back to one of your videos of something that you can actually do to get to know someone before jumping into bed. Straight away, actually getting to know someone properly. So don't go away. Hi, I'm Chrissy B, and my show is all about improving your mental health and being happy. Join me every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 10 p.m. on my channel Sky 203. Visit chrissybshow.tv for more information and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Chrissy B Show. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Chrissy B Show and on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. Welcome back, everyone, to our show about pressured to have sex. Now, before I go on with my tips on how to basically not care what people think and be your own person, here's a video of James and Helena on a kind of idea of what to do to actually go out with maybe a new partner and get to know them, to communicate well before even thinking about having sex. So let's take a look at this.
Hello and welcome to London's latest landmark. And this runs just like any other way of transport. It runs 7 days a week. And the great thing about it is that you get a very, very nice view.
Standing at 200 feet tall, you can cross the Thames in the Emirates airline and also get great pictures of the Greenwich Peninsula and the Royal Docks. I've got my camera ready. Let's get some shots. After you.
Thank you.
Oh man, I hate this.
Babe, we're almost reaching.
Thank God it only lasts 10 minutes, huh? The London Eye is not this scary because the structure's a little firm. Can we walk back?
No, because he doesn't like
swim
it.
back. Even Superman has kryptonite.
So today is your birthday, and I'm so proud of him because he overcame his fear of heights.
Not really,
Maybe I
not
shouldn't
really a
say-
fear.
Yeah, I shouldn't use the word fear, but what
not
should
a
I
big
use?
fan. Not a big fan of heights.
So he's not a big fan of heights,
But I'm doing okay.
yeah, and it's
Survive.
nice. We're having a lot of fun. It's something really different. I've never done that before. We get a wonderful view from here.
Make sure you bring a nice camera, the best camera you can, because you really get some good pictures up here.
Yes, we do. I'm loving it. Thank you for bringing me here.
And we're signing off. We're on our way back. We've crossed the river. We're crossing the river now again. We're getting to the highest part of the journey.
Can you see? You should have seen him going like this.
Not a
Oh
big
my God,
fan.
this is really high. This is really.
Man, this is horrible. And now we're even shaking
Stop it, please.
the thing a little bit.
Stop it. You see?
And we're signing off. Back to the studio. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So tonight I want to give you my advice on how to be yourself, not care what others think, how to be strong, stand your ground when it comes to your moral choices, and how not to give in to peer pressure. And it is doable, trust me. So the first point is set your own standards. So every individual, I think you need to decide what is right and what is wrong for yourself, because you are going to face situations that will test your standards. So make sure at the end of the day that you're valuing yourself and your individuality enough to set your standards quite high. And you know, why shouldn't you do that at the end of the day? You deserve it. So I think it's really good when a person sets certain standards, because then you kind of have goals in life, not just with, like, for example, having sex with someone, in lots of different situations. Always have your standards set so you know what kind of decisions to make in your life. The second point is avoid compromising situations. So don't allow yourself to get into situations where you know you're going to be tempted to bend your standards. So the only thing that's going to result from that is that you'll feel badly about yourself. So in the case of, for example, not having sex before marriage or sex until you've gotten to know the person, obviously, if you, like we heard earlier, if you go to the person's house and there's no one else in and you go up to the bedroom, of course, that's obviously going to make you feel tempted. Or in the case maybe where you're trying to, even something as simple as getting healthier. So instead of, you know, going to places where there's lots of fast food and stuff like that, which is going to kind of tempt you to eat what you shouldn't be eating if you've set yourself that standard. So just, it's better to avoid things as much as you can so you can actually keep to what you've determined for your own life. And the third point is choose like-minded friends. So this one is very, very important, because if you set certain standards for yourself, it could be, for example, setting standards for your professional life and working hard and not, you know, doing less partying and more studying, for example, things like that, where you have a goal for your future. It's going to be really, really hard for you to keep to your standards if the people that you hang around with don't think the same way as you. Because obviously, say you're a student and you want to buckle down and really study. If your close friends are wanting to go out all the time, stay up late, be drinking and having a hangover the next day, not being able to study properly or concentrate, then of course, it's going to be harder for you, because how hard is it when all your friends want to do the same thing and you're like the odd one out? So it's really, really important that if you're really serious about your goals and the standards that you've set for yourself, make sure that those that you hang around with have the same sort of standards as well. And the fourth point is be proud of yourself. So be firm with your decisions and standards. And if someone is pressuring you, stand up straight, look them straight in the eye and say a very firm no. And don't kind of like apologize and be all sheepish about saying no. You've got no reason to be apologetic. Instead, be proud of your strength and of who you are. So, you know, just to recap the tips again. on how not to give into pressure. So set your standards and stick to them. The second point was avoid compromising situations that will kind of tempt you to not to stick to your standards. The third point was to choose like-minded friends, because you're more likely to, again, stick to the standards you've set for yourself. And the fourth point is be proud of yourself, you know, because it takes a lot of willpower to actually stick to certain things. So at the end of the day, everyone has the right to choose how they want to live their life, but we should never ever put pressure on anyone to live the way we do and vice versa. Well, sadly, that's all we have time for today. But if you have an idea for a topic that you'd like to see featured on this show, or if you have an inspiring story to tell us, do get in touch via our website, chrissybshow.tv. You can also tweet us at Chrissy B Show and also comment or send a message on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. So guys, thank you to all our lovely guests today. I really hope you enjoyed today's program as much as I have and learned something too. And we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye for now. Mom, everyone's kind of waiting for me to start in the studio. But, okay, love you, sorry. Call me tomorrow. All right, bye. Is the other makeup artist coming on with? She's good. Oh, I thought you were going to count us in, sorry. So don't go away, it's not on. Place with you. Oh, no, I don't want, no, not a good question. Let me start again. Disbelief take place. What does that mean? All right, guys, so after the break, we'll be revisiting, no, we're not going to revisit because we haven't done it yet. And before we meet our next guest, let's exactly, actually it goes back to what the...
What? What happened, Chris?
Sorry, I'm still thinking of emotions. I'm sorry. Okay.
This is so unprofessional. I'm never coming on this show again, ever. Just joking, just joking.
Back to what the young gentleman said.
I'm smiling, Chris.
Street chats that, you know, if he met a girl that have sex until the street chat said that, you know, if he meets the girl.
Sorry, no, it was me, sorry.
Nothing major, I don't know why I stopped.